I was on Twitter and I saw that Killer Mike was trending, and I said, "Oh, Michael Render's trending. This is good. I'm like to see Michael Render trend. This is good stuff. Someone who is, always has something intelligent to say, always has something from his point of view. I like that. He was trending because Killer Mike was being slammed about a meeting that he took. Killer Mike took a meeting with Governor Brian Kemp, a Republican. Oh my God, he sat down with a Republican. Hey, he sat down with a Republican, and people did not like him talking with Kemp. What are you doing talking with Kemp? They thought, blasphemy. Why would Killer Mike sit down with this guy? He stole an election from Stacey Abrams. He wears cowboy belt buckles, and he's a Republican. And he opened up Georgia. Anyway, they were really going in on Killer Mike. They were really giving him a hard time. I sent out a tweet just saying that Killer Mike he can go anywhere he wants to go, because wherever he goes, he's going to stand up for the people of Georgia. That's what he does. Doesn't matter where he goes. Matter what he does when he get there. That's how I always look at it. You can go anywhere you want to go. Nina Turner sent out a tweet of support. Tariq Nasheed sent out a tweet of support. A number of people sent out tweets of support. And some people sent out tweets of hate. Very angry with Michael. Unlike most people, I took the extra step and I went and saw what was discussed. Because that's always important to me. What was discussed during the meeting that Killer Mike's catching all this heat for? What did they talk about? Was Mike discussing how he's now a Republican and he wants to, he said screw Medicare for all, screw, ending mass incarceration, like screw reinvestment, screw, job training programs, or, what did he say? He must have said something. He must have said something in that interview that must be horrific, that makes him a pure hypocrite, that goes against everything that Michael has ever talked about. This is the piece of the interview when they went on the radio station after meeting together. So Governor Kemp and Killer Mike, they had the meeting, and now radio stations, after the aftermath and all the drama, a radio station said, please come on our show and tell us what you talked about, because, it's all this drama. So here goes the interview after the meeting where they explain what they talked about. Here we go. Yeah, here you go.
What is the most important thing that you'd like to see the governor get done, that he can get done immediately, that was in your conversation?
The most immediate, I think, when people think immediate, they think of almost immediate can turn into, hey, I'm just doing this for show. I told the governor that I believe he has a strong chance of being a two-term governor, and if that's going to be the case, what I would like to see is minority contracts rise from 2% to between 8 to 10%. Yep. I would like to see a program created that as early as high school pushes, in particular, working class poor men and Black and African American young men into trades, because over the next 20 years, Georgia is going to be growing. Whether it's the port down in Savannah, where my wife is from, or the city of Atlanta, or agriculture in southern Georgia, I'd like to see us prepare our young men to fulfill those jobs, because we need fathers, we need husbands, and we need stability, in particular, in the African American community. So I'd like to see our legislation push to support our governor in efforts he does to lean toward that. And the other thing is, and I talked to a friend of mine who's doing life in prison today, and he said, Mike, before we weren't even getting a proper amount or any food, and because of the governor mandate, I don't know what the mandate was or what the order that came down, but he made sure to tell me he was thankful for that, because the conditions of the prisoner, much like if you believe in Christ and you're a Jesus believer, then you have to know that the last person on earth he saved was a prisoner, was someone who was a confessed thief. And I judge societies a lot of times by how we judge them, how we fix them, how we treat them. So I was very good to know that he was at least in line with the thinking that our prisoners should not be getting out of jail with $25 on a bus ticket, and we have to decrease the amount of juveniles that are going into prison, and we have to decrease the recidivism rate. And former Judge Bradley Boyd out of Fulton County Juvenile Court had a wonderful example, and I think there's a court maybe in one of the smaller cities or towns here that deals with the trauma of kids, so we don't funnel kids into the prison system. And he really seemed receptive to that, and I was really appreciative of that. As Republicans a lot of times, and the politicians period, get a bad rap around more prisons growing versus more programs to restore young. Like Frederick Douglass said, it's easier to build strong children than repair broken men.
can't imagine the Killer Mike believes that the governor of making black votes disappear has any real interest in tackling racism in Georgia or anywhere else. So I guess the real question is, who was this meeting even for? That was columnist Zach Lindley in a piece that he wrote. As far as I can tell, Kemp is just following the GOP trend of parading black faces around to show the Republican Party isn't the old white man party. It's perceived as being while continuing to ignore black issues and actively opposing anti-racism efforts. On Twitter, the criticism continued, though Winder responded with confidence that the meeting was the right move. In multiple tweets, the rapper discussed how creating a change sometimes involves doing things that appear unpopular. Winder also retweeted an account by left conservatives for Biden that wrote, and for the inevitable partisans who say, oh, but Kemp got a photo op, he also got to listen to a powerful advocate for criminal justice reform on the issues we can build unconventional coalitions. And after one user wrote to him asking if he really met with the Republican governor, the progressive activist wrote, absolutely, I pay taxes in Georgia and own businesses here. I'm checking up on my dollars at work. I also met with my city council member, my state rep, and mayor. I suggest all Georgians do the same. So I want to give a shout out to 95.5 WSB for the clip that I used, and please no problems, please. Now that we got all that, I just want to say, based on what I'm hearing from Killer Mike in this conversation, and on that radio station call you just heard, the mayor was also on the line, and they were going back and forth, but they could only talk one at a time. And not the mayor, the governor. So I just want to make it clear here. Michael Render doesn't need to apologize or to explain why he wanted to talk to his governor. That's stupid shit. But if he does decide that, okay, let me get an explanation, because we have seen Donald Trump parade black folks around, Kanye West, Jim Brown, Steve Harvey. We've seen this so many times that it's become a thing where we're always attuned to it. But I've also seen Democrats parade black people around. Hillary Clinton paraded around the mothers of Tamir Rice, the mother of John Crawford, wife of Eric Garner. Didn't this ring a bell? She had all of them with her, so it's not a Republican thing. I don't know why this person thinks it's a Republican thing. That really pisses me off, how people tend to only see one side of the aisle doing something and totally ignore when the exact same thing, even sometimes even worse, to a higher level, is being done on their own side. They act like they don't see it. But back to Killer Mike. Killer Mike is talking to Governor Kemp about jobs programs that help black youth, black families, black folks, and you are giving him grief for that? I'd like to question if you are the person who's trying to keep black people down. I mean, anytime you don't want the governor to talk to someone who is advocating for the people that you say you care about, then I think that you're the racist. I think that you're undercover racist, or you just got an issue with Killer Mike that you are too cowardly to truly express. So now you use this as a means in order to get that, to get your point across, or a way to take shots at Mike. Killer Mike had a very definitive, very exacting, detailed ask. He's asking that a government that only awards 2% of the minority contracts to 2% of contracts, 2% of the government contracts in Georgia go to black folks. Minority, anybody could be a minority. I mean, well, it's a lot of minorities. Only 2% minority? Is that even right? Is that true? Please tell me you meant black. 2% of government contracts, that's it. You know there's 98% left. I wonder where that goes. So Killer Mike wanted to address that and say, hey, it looks like you may become a second-term governor, and if that's true, can we work on this? Can we have an initiative that will increase this 2% number to 8 to 10%? 8 to 10%. Why isn't everybody, instead of being mad at Killer Mike, why aren't you yelling at every other representative in that state, every other lawmaker, Democratic lawmaker in that state who's not doing the exact same thing that Killer Mike is doing? You're not saying it because you're not really interested in the change as much as you are in destroying Michael Render, as you are in smearing Michael Render. Because if you really cared about black people, you'd be appalled at that 2% number. You would be deeply, deeply resentful of that number. So resentful of that number, so focused on this number of 2% that you would have no time at all to belly up to the bar and smear Michael Render for having a say, for voicing that opinion, or any opinion, or taking any meeting. You'll be too busy advocating for these people. But that's not what you're about. You're about gatekeeping and telling people who they can talk to, who they can't talk to, so you can write your little shitty article, or so you can tweet on Twitter. You don't even know. People were tweeting hate towards Mike, and they don't even know what they talked about. Now, I haven't spoken to Mike, had an opportunity. I mean, I was already a person that supported him, but once I had him on the show and I had an opportunity to speak to him once again, how much cool to come on my show, have a conversation, and answer, indulge me some questions that the community wanted to know that I know he didn't want to talk about, but I had to ask him because that was my job, to ask him about some of the other statements that he made about the police there in Georgia. I had to ask those questions to do my job correctly, and he answered those questions. He didn't brush me off, so I already knew what kind of person he was. That's why before I even listened to the radio spot to find out what the conversation consisted of, I already knew that if Michael Render's going to put it all on the line and go meet with Governor Kemp, he's doing it for a reason. Michael Render's already a rich man. He don't need to. He's doing this to help other people. He's already good. He's got the job many people dream of. He's a rap star. And he also has the best of both worlds because he fucking matters. But you critics don't matter because you don't do anything except criticize people doing it. So I already knew that Michael Render was not going to throw away his reputation for nothing. He's not going to throw it away for a photo op. He's too savvy for that. Give the man some credit. At least wait to hear what the conversation was. At least get more information before you shit on a man who's one of... See, this is what happens. This is what happens. How can we have leadership? How can we have leaders? How can we have people that carry the torch, that get things done, that work towards the goals we want, if all we do is destroy them and tear them down and rip them limb for limb at every turn? I saw it all through 2019 into 2020. All you do is destroy the good, looking for the perfect. And it's never really the perfect. It's just who you want. Killer Mike, keep doing your damn thing. I know you will. You don't need to hear this from me at all. I was hesitant to talk about this only because I know you don't need me saying shit about what you said or what you did, but I just feel like sometimes other people need to go ham a little bit. Because what's going on right now is disgusting. It's pathetic. These people who are doing this are not progressive. They're not pro-black. They're not anti-racist. They're just assholes. They're just sheltered assholes. And they're plants. That's what they are. They are plants and sabotagers. That's what they are. I'd like to know a time when Michael Render was not advocating for his community. I'd like to know that. I'd like to know a time when he wasn't advocating for black folks. I'd like to know when that time was. No one's perfect, and I'm not suggesting that Killer Mike is perfect, and I'm sure he would tell you that that's impossible. He likes weed, and he likes music, and he likes drink, and he likes doing his thing. And he ain't trying to be your president. But the man has an authenticity that escapes most politicians, and I hope that he will pursue a line of doing so. He did share with me that he may pursue, maybe run for city council or school board or something at some point. I hope he does more than that. And on his way, I hope he ignores assholes who criticize him for doing what they are too afraid to do, who don't have time to do. But a lot of this Twitter fingers. Fuck you. All right. Kiss his ass. Kiss my ass. Kiss everybody's ass. Just kiss our ass. This is repetitive. This is disgusting. This is, it's repugnant, man. It just keeps happening. Sitting in the Turner. I don't know why she did. Y'all gonna do the same thing. I know you already are. I cringe. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's not like I don't think the Senator Nina Turner can handle the scrutiny, but I already know what they're going to do. They're going to go after her and destroy her. It's going to be her own. It's always the people close. They're going to go after her. It's going to be something she says where she will say, well, she's been a Democrat. You're going to be like, why is she going third party? And then you're going to proceed to destroy her. Or why did she do that? It's going to be some petty shit. Meanwhile, you work at a poultry plant killing chickens or have some other shit job where you destroy the ozone layer. No one asks you shit about what you do. They got so much criticism of what everybody else does. All right. Well, anyway, that's it. Thank you.